Welcome back, time travelers, for one last time. Can you believe it? We've not only reached the final week of our Harlem Renaissance study, we've reached the final week of this course. In today's video, we'll start with a quick trip down memory lane through the movements of American literature that we've studied. Then we'll review the Harlem Renaissance. And finally, I'll tell you about your final project for this unit. Are you ready for a quick trip through centuries of American literature? Let's go! We began our journey with the pre-colonial period, colonialism, and early nationalism. We read creation myths of indigenous peoples back before the arrival of Europeans, and then we moved through the writings of early colonists and Puritans. Remember those Salem witch trials? Next up was the Age of Enlightenment, when logic and reasoning became popular. And after that, we saw the establishment of a new nation, the United States of America. Then we were able to slow down and enjoy the beauty of nature and get back in touch with our emotions during the age of Romanticism. Remember those fireside poets? So cozy. Of course, we also experienced the dark side of Romanticism, as well as some Gothic literature, where everything seems dark. And Transcendentalism, where nature, individualism, and idealism lead to an experience with the divine. But that all ended with realism and naturalism. No more of those emotions, no more idealism. Get real! Nature is not your friend. Take what life throws at you and try to survive. And some female authors showed us that it was often society throwing obstacles in the paths of our protagonists. And then along came modernism. Those who survived a horrific world war were disillusioned and had given up on old traditions. Modernist authors introduced us to experimental techniques, fragmentation, and subjectivity. We saw urban living and economic disparity, Jim Crow laws, racial violence. It's no wonder that the American dream seemed so elusive. And rising alongside modernism was the cultural revolution we know as the Harlem Renaissance. And that brings us to Unit 6, our grand finale, the Harlem Renaissance, which, as you know, was centered in Harlem, New York in the 1920s and 1930s. Industrialism was booming, and great numbers of African American families were moving from the rural South to areas in the North and Midwest, where jobs were available. Do you remember what this phenomenon was called? The Great Migration. Suddenly, Black communities were forming, and Black culture was being expanded upon and celebrated. There was an explosion of creativity in art, music, and literature that resulted in the Harlem Renaissance, and we met some of the literary leaders of this cultural revolution. There's Claude McKay, a Jamaican-born poet who uses traditional poetic structures to convey progressive themes in works like If We Must Die and To One Coming North. Remember Countee Cullen? He integrated traditional literary forms to create poems like From the Dark Tower. What about Jean Toomer? He combined poetry and prose in a book called Cain, which included poems Storm Ending and Beehive. And who could forget the incomparable Langston Hughes? He experimented with rhythms. echoing the sounds of jazz and blues in poems like The Weary Blues, and he captured authentic speech sounds with I dialect in works like Mother to Son. Zora Neale Hurston, author and anthropologist, is best known for her novel Their Eyes Were Watching God, and her meticulous I dialect. Moving on to the intellectuals. Alain Locke, often called the father of the Harlem Renaissance, gave us The New Negro. And W.E.B. Du Bois, co-founder of the NAACP, gave us The Souls of Black Folk. To complete our journey, we met Jesse Redmond Fawcett, literary editor of The Crisis, whose novels Comedy, American Style, and Plum Bun offered us a perspective on the practice of passing. And speaking of passing, that's the name and central idea of a brilliant novel by Nella Larsen. Larsen's notoriety was fleeting, but her legacy lives on. Throughout these works, we see some common themes emerge. Do you remember some of these themes? There's a celebration of Black culture and community, a call for resistance to oppression, and a focus on the importance of racial identity. Many of these authors looked back to the past and lamented the loss of a homeland, while also looking to the future with a sense of hope. This week, your culminating activity will be a project that you select from a choice board. Let's take a look at what you'll be doing. Okay, there will be 6 options on your choice board, and I want you to select an option that you'll enjoy, something that taps into your personal interests and talents. Let's take a look. One option is a gallery walk, where you'll create a series of posters and invite guests on a guided tour and lead a discussion about the authors and works. Not into the gallery idea? Maybe you'd prefer a scrapbook. Whether you make a physical or digital scrapbook is up to you, but either way, you'll include images and interesting facts about authors and their works. Is board game night your idea of a good time? Well, maybe you'll be interested in creating a board game to review the people, places, and significant works of the Harlem Renaissance. Do you love planning events for friends and family? Maybe you'd like to host a coffee house event. You can put together some refreshments, play some music from the jazz age, read from selected works, and facilitate a discussion. Are you an aspiring filmmaker or content creator? You might enjoy creating a documentary. You can narrow your focus to a specific topic or theme. Just make sure to include at least 3 different authors and their works. Your final option is a brochure. You know, the kind you get on a vacation that gives you some great photos, a map, and lots of interesting information about the place you're visiting. Which, in this case, is Harlem, New York in the 1920s and 30s. Take a look at this choice board. There are 6 great options to choose from. The specific requirements for each one are listed in your PDF. You'll also have a planning guide, a checklist, and a scoring rubric to assist you along the way, so you know you're on track to produce something truly meaningful that you can share with others. I hope you have some fun with this project. You'll work on it throughout the week, and you'll be presenting it and evaluating it on day 5. Okay, well, my time-traveling friends, as our time together comes to an end, I want you to know that it has been a pleasure sharing this journey with you. Hey.